Hey, welcome back to the Fifth Line 5R show presented by Five Reasons Sports. Today we have game three between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. Right now the Lightning are up 2-0 in the series. Before we get into that game, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the other series across the NHL. As always, I'm Alex, joined by Manny. And playoffs are full under swing now. We only have one team that hasn't played, I believe, which is Toronto, Montreal. And that game starts tonight at 7:30. Right now, we are looking at NHL.com's playoff bracket. And starting from the left, Colorado's up 2-0 against St. Louis. Vegas and Minnesota are tied in their series over in the West. We have Pittsburgh and the Islanders tied at one game apiece. Probably the best series so far for me, Washington versus Boston. Three straight overtime games, including a double OT game last night. Boston's up in that series 2-1. Carolina's doing their business over there against Nashville. That's a 2-0 series lead. Hasn't really been that close. Obviously, the Panthers are down right now, 2-0 to the Tampa Bay Lightning, but that series has been pretty close through both games. And Winnipeg came out with a statement game last night against Edmonton without Nikolai Ehlers and without Pierre-Luc Dubois. They came in and they scored 4 unanswered goals to beat the Edmonton Oilers. And then, of course, Montreal, Toronto. I think the first time since 1979 these guys have played against each other. It's going to be absolutely intense. Manny, what do you think about the playoffs so far?
Well, good afternoon, Alex. I hope you're doing well. I mean, so far I thought that besides maybe Carolina, Nashville, maybe even game one of St. Louis, Colorado, maybe it was not very entertaining hockey, but for the most part, it's been very competitive. I mean, you had last night, finally, all these Canada fans have been waiting for this, right? But obviously, no, there's no fans allowed. But I thought that Edmonton-Winnipeg game was very, very grimy and gritty. The Jets somehow, some way down 2 main stars were able to get that W last night. So I think that series might go 6 or 7 because as we've seen, though, right, when you have a very not that Winnipeg's not talented, they're just not that strong up front. But if you're able to kind of maintain Connor McDavid and where he doesn't create those chances for himself or for others, you're giving yourself one heck of a freaking opportunity. Let's go to Pittsburgh, New York. We know what that series means for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 2 years ago, they were swept. They were embarrassed, right? So, for them, they're out there to get revenge. They're out there to get blood. Once again, that series has been fun. Let me move up on the bracket a little bit up here. What else can you say about Washington, Boston, right? Unfortunately, it was a boneheaded play by the Caps goaltender. Pissed off Ovi, right? You saw Ovi's reaction just sitting on the bench, looking at him like, geez.
He was livid. Looked like he was yelling at him in Russian. I saw the video on Twitter.
Like I feel like if Ovi could have teleported Holtby back from Vancouver, I'm pretty sure he would have done that immediately. And then what about this Vegas Wild series, right? I mean, Wild they had a perfect opportunity, I thought, in game 2. To try to tie up that game towards the end and whatnot. But, hey, that series has been entertaining. Colorado, St. Louis might get entertaining, but, of course, let's talk about that Kadri hit. Once again, this man leaves Toronto after having a bad rep. Listen, I don't mind having these guys on my team, right? Because not everybody can be that goal scorer. Not everybody can be that defensive-minded player. But Kadri, he's very skilled. He's very good at what he does.
Put up 30 goals the year before John Tavares got to Toronto.
Yes, so then that's my issue. You have guys like Kadri, not really much as Tom Wilson, though, but those type of guys, even let's put in Ratko Gudas in there for the Florida Panthers. They're those guys that like to kind of intimidate others, try to get you into trouble. What happens with Kadri is he just catches himself in bad situations. There was no need for him to lift up his shoulder yesterday, okay? I don't care if that's Connor McDavid. I don't care if that's Rocco Falk. I don't care who that is. You have a bad reputation already leaving one city into another, and you go ahead and you just do a boneheaded play. St. Louis almost tied it up with that, what was it, a 2 power play for 4 minutes per se. So that could have made a huge thing. But then, how about tonight, right? A lot of people are not giving the Canadians a chance. I'm so different. To me, the National Hockey League is not like the NBA. You always expect maybe the top 4 of the NBA to always make the finals per se. In hockey, if you're able to control the other team's best player and you can actually, counter on your opportunities on the little ones that you get, I think Montreal might have a case here. But again, no fan. maybe that creates less pressure for Toronto, right? We've seen where Toronto always has these tendencies of no matter what happens in the first round with them, they get eliminated no matter what. Game 7, Game 6, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But who knows with that one? And of course, guys, like if the Florida Panthers don't play their best 60-minute hockey of the season tonight, I'm not saying it's not possible. I mean, we saw the LA Kings do it, right?
It's very unlikely to come back down 3 games.
Correct. And against a team that we've seen so far in 2 games, very, very good at 5-on-5, super damn good on the power play. What Panther team is going to show up tonight? You got to lay it all on the line. If Barkov has to play over 27, Huberto has to play over 30, I don't care what, you know what I'm saying? Right now, if Coach Q and this staff believes that Drieger is the man in net, who am I to say what the heck, right? Only they know what the mentality of that locker room. Okay, not saying that Bob could have played better in game 1 because I'm sorry, not even the best goaltender and probably Thomas Hasek, he could have stopped those one-timers from Kucherov, right, on the freaking power play. But it all comes down to the night. You need to play the best 60-minute hockey you've had all season, and somehow, some way, you got to be able to get this game 3 up in Tampa. And Shane, welcome.
I think the only hope is, and I don't know how I was at the game on Thursday, and I was really close to it. It's probably the best seats I've ever had in a sporting event ever in my entire life. And the Panthers had that one flurry in the first period where they just had it down there forever, and Tippett kind of swiped and missed at one. I mean, that the net was wide open, and Gudis almost got put one on net. It just went over the post. And if you go period by period this series, what has Tampa outplayed us for?
Maybe 1
or 1-2.
The first half of the first period, the second period in game 2, in game 1, the second period, and then a 2-minute flurry at the end of the period, which in the third period, which we didn't even get outplayed. It was just like emotional play from Bennett, which frankly that you get, right, like, because it was just super.
I have moved on from that play because it just bugs me.
Yeah, the Colton play and watching Hornquist carry his helmet down to mid ice at the end of the period, which that
was Frank Petrano.
Yeah, and it was kind of fun. If anyone wants revenge, a full beer landed on a official's head heading into the locker.
Yeah, I was at the arena too. I had perfect view of at the end when they started chucking beer on the ice. Don't do that again if we have a game 5. But the fans weren't happy. Basically,
yeah, there was a lot of frustration going into it, but it's just still part of me is just like, man, NHL, this could be another great town for hockey, and like to complain and then not say, please don't sell rats tonight. Like the arena didn't sell rats on Thursday or on Tuesday because I guess the NHL's like, does 3 or 4 rats after a little scrum really hurt anything? But more on the game, I will say this. They looked the hitting was definitely way down early in game 2. And we talked about this as I was kind of walking around. Were they going to get the speech? Don't be Sam Bennett. Don't make the over emotional move. Then as kind of a young playoff hockey team does, they overcompensated the other way. Right. So then Tampa went on the attack. They know just the medium of physicality and dirtiness they can get away with, which is more than the Panthers, and how to keep the intensity up. And it looked like the Panthers, especially early, were kind of like, okay, let's not get in the box. Let's not get in the box. And they lost a little bit of that intensity. And then, Tampa just played like, park the bus in FIFA. The rest of that game, it felt like, I said to my buddy, I said, has Barkov played tonight? Because I just felt like I kept looking up and just seeing Hornquist. He ended up playing 26 minutes. And I'm just like, I felt like Duclair, I don't think he's healthy. He only played 11 minutes and I think 12 minutes in game 2. I'm really curious to see where he's in the lineup. I'm not a fan of Marshall. Sorry if I keep butchering his name on that top line. He's big, he's fast, but it's just, I think someone described him to me as kind of like a bull in a china shop.
He was working good at the bottom. And like I know he got the goal when they put him up with Barkov, but him and Lomberg were both like close multiple times on that bottom pair anyways.
They're just missing that little bit, like that. I said to somebody and this was before he scored. So of course, you know, I was talking to someone in the stands. I said, he's like that kid that always makes it to the next level in sports because one coach is like, oh, he's big, he skates fast, he can shoot hard, he has all these tools, and it's still, I'm just waiting, you know what I mean? It feels like it just he's kind of a bit of skill away. Owen Tippett can be like that too.
See, I think with Tippett has the skill because he was a first-round player. He showed in juniors. He showed at the World Juniors. Like me and Manny, the entire year, were like, when is Tippett gonna get it? And then Tippett slowly began to get it. And like, yeah, he had 2 points in the first game in game one, and he's inches away from just hitting the net. With Marchman, I think Marchman kind of figured out his role a little bit better. And now he's playing so much more aggressive because it's funny, playing hockey my whole life, it was always the little guys that played harder than the big guys. And we're like, if the big guy just realized he's bigger than everyone else on the ice, if you throw your body, it's going to hurt a lot more than if Ryan Lomberg throws his body. 5'9" versus like 6'3". And we have a comment here. Drieger will be the key for Florida. He has to weather the storm. Drieger looked a little shaky in that first period, but so did the whole team. And then he kind of got it all together, and he made some big saves down the stretch. So, yeah.
I want to see, you know, he's one of my favorite players on the team. Like, Vetrano's been MIA this series.
Time to get him going.
Yeah, I was reading the Panthers message board, and there's a little bit this. I think Horny's he's out there. He's working hard doing the veteran things, but you could just tell he just doesn't have the same legs as a lot of guys. And I mean, when Huberdeau went through his slump, that time when Barkov was out and they were having a little rough patch in the middle of the season, Huberdeau was playing with Hornquist. It seems like whoever's with him, it's been a little bit of a struggle. And you really haven't seen anything from Wenberg or Vetrano this series on that line with him. So I'm just, you know, I'd like to see someone else out there.
You know, Sam Bennett coming back is big, and Manny, go ahead. But I think Sam Bennett just like jumping back into that second center spot is going to be huge for the team. And I think he's not going to make the boneheaded play as he did last game.
Yeah, so having Sam back is huge, but again, you're on the road, right? So you don't have the liberty of seeing who's on the ice before you do. So we'll see how Tampa counters with that. But Shane, I told Alex this last Wednesday. What is the one thing that the Florida Panthers have that the Tampa Bay Lightning already have? That's experience. That's winning championship hockey, right? They've been in this already. They've been in the cycle of making the playoffs, getting embarrassed and getting swept out, all of a sudden coming back and winning the cup. They've been through all these things. Florida Panthers have not, right? And so that's the only thing missing out of this group. You mentioned it. What team would open up game two? Is it the one that we saw in game one? Exciting, high power, high. The
Panthers we saw all year.
You're able to show your force, right, per se. But now, all of a sudden, you know, there's a suspension. One of your key guys is out. It was like, you know, I know through Lomberg's mind, that's not through his head, which I loved, right? He kept playing the same way he's been doing. And
Lomberg was the most noticeable forward that entire game.
That was the only one. I don't remember a Radko Gudas hit. I don't remember Jonathan Huberdeau making any plays.
Gudas had one.
Gudas had the one open nice hit, but
yeah, and he had
one. But still,
he had one nice hit on the boards.
But in game one, the Panthers had over 50+ hits.
Yeah, I think we can all agree though. The life was just sucked out of the building.
Oh, of course.
And I didn't think they were going to score that game because they just couldn't generate any offense.
Yeah, there was that period in the second period where it was fumbling around the blue lines. They never got anything going. And I said, you know, there was a few games throughout the Panthers season where like they would play backup goalie for Nashville and the guy would just dance on his head. Yeah. And it seemed like, oh, you know what, tonight's just one of those. And that's what it felt like. And you know, again, they had those couple flurries, and if those, we didn't get a bounce. We have not gotten the hockey bounce once this series, right? Like, Duclair had a real good chance to knock one in close, And it's just we have not gotten the good hockey bounce this series.
You know what? You know what, though, guys? You know how Tampa was able to capitalize on those power plays in the first game? I believe we had 2 last game, and we just – I don't know. We overthought it too much. I remember Barkov missing the net at least 3 times with a shot on goal. Huberdeau was looking to pass half the time instead of just trying to just let it rip with a screen.
They were being way too cute. I mean,
being way too
cute, right?
And that's what sucks. Yeah, that's what sucks. Because in game 1, you saw the energy, you saw the way they came out and played. You even saw it, or like 1 week and a half prior to the whole series starting. Right? It's like, so what changed? That Sam Bennett penalty. Listen, that's very unfortunate. And by the way, I'm still waiting to figure out what's the difference between a Tom Wilson antic and a Sam Bennett antic. Because apparently Sam Bennett's the only one that has to be hearing this from the NHL.
Ryan McDonough.
Yeah, I'm sorry, not Sean. Ryan McDonough could have at least gotten a call. Nothing. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. The guys know you're not going to get the call. It's quite clear. The NHL does not want the Florida Panthers to be anywhere near this series.
There were some terrible. I saw Mason Marchman get punched in the face on the odd man rush.
But this is
how the second period ended. Why wasn't those offsettings? Why was it? It's just
okay. If I remember correctly, and I think Doug Plagans called it out, Uyghur had the hit, and then everything else happened. So the Uyghur hit was called, which is the cross check in the back, right before the period ended. So that was the one penalty, and then everything else happened.
The only 2 penalties the Panthers got all night was the one on Achari, which was so obvious, right? And then the tripping on Duclair, right?
Yeah,
complete. And they even called that. They even took them a second to call that one. You know what I mean? And I remember the fans were kind of just going crazy at the arena with frustration. Like, finally, thank you. I will say this though: the one big thing that the Panthers aren't going to solve is there's not a single threat defensively to score.
No, and this is where you miss Ekblad.
I don't know hockey.
This is when you miss Ekblad, to me personally.
Yeah, and I don't know hockey.
Because Uyghur can't do it all, right? Because Uyghur can't do it all either.
I mean, they just sink, and there's more traffic in front of the net. And the problem is, you said with Huberdeau does get a little too cute sometimes, where he's just trying to thread between 2 legs, a skate, a goalie stick, right in front of the net. And then even if it gets to the guy's never like in a position where he can get kind of stick on it. And it's just teams, they don't respect it. I mean, they're just saying Gudis, Yandel, Montour, shoot all day. Like we'll take our chances with you guys trying to put it somewhere, and that's not going to change.
Well, we're talking about the defense now, and obviously the entire season I've been calling for Keith Yandel to get scratched at least once. They kept the Iron Man streak alive. Today, George Richards from Florida Hockey Now, I believe he's in Tampa. He was at the morning skate. And Keith Yandel was skating with the scratches today. So when you skate with the scratches, you're almost certain to not dress that night. So nothing's confirmed yet. It happened at the beginning of the season because Yandel was skating with the second unit. And what I heard was Yandel's a big locker room guy. So the team wanted Yandel to play.
Yeah, you don't want to piss and Chitlet podcast off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Yandel's the locker room guy. He's been voted the best personality in the NHL by the NHL players. Now it's playoff time. We're down 2-0. It was clear that game 2, we had a lot of momentum. We pulled the goalie. Yandel threw probably the worst pass I've ever seen in my life up the middle of the ice, and the Lightning score, and we lose the game. I made it a tweet immediately saying Yandel shouldn't be in the lineup game 3. Looks like, nothing's confirmed yet, looks like Yandel's not going to be playing tonight. So who comes in? I don't know if Stralman shouldn't be in the lineup either, to be honest with you. It should be Kierstead. But I don't know what they're going to do. But the fact that they're not going to play Yandel most likely means that Q is like, okay, I don't care what the locker room thinks anymore. I'm the coach. I'm going to make the decision. Yeah.
But part of me is critical of Q in this nature. I get he's a locker room, and but let's also be honest, this is kind of why he was run out of Chicago, right? You kind of ride and die. He's been criticized, and it was a little criticized when we went through something the other year that it seemed like it took him a while to warm up to Tippett, right? Tippett was kind of in and out, fourth line, really. And then he's found a nice little spot on that Bennett, Huberdeau, Tippett. Like that's a great line. But And I get it, man, but man, it's just Yandel just makes so many obvious mistakes, and I'm not in the locker room with the guys. Obviously, none of us are, so it's hard for us to see that effect. But man, all we do is see 3 just what the F moments every night.
Well, the thing is too, like, I know 2 weeks before the playoffs, they were running 7 defensemen. Yandel was playing 5 minutes a night. So you can't tell me that you have a guy playing 5 minutes a night, and then you have a rookie who was playing college hockey 2 weeks before, getting double the minutes as him, and then come playoff time, you expect him to be out there with a minute left in the game. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, and like the statistic shows it too. Yandel in previous seasons was the number 1 defenseman, or at least towards the top of points on the power play by a defenseman in the NHL. It's not like that this year, not at all. And when Ekblad went out, he had more of a responsibility on the back end. But now you're running 1 defenseman, and it's Keith Yandel on the power play. So we saw multiple times this series already. Tampa catches the Panthers in transition, and you have 2-on-1 shorthanded, and Yandel doesn't have the foot speed. Gustav Forsling is the fastest guy on the team. Uyghur has wheels. Put one of those 2. Even Brandon Montour is jumping up.
You think he has more speed than Duclair?
It's so close. It's so close. But like Forsing's a defenseman too. So a defenseman taking it around the net, he's gonna look faster than a guy. I think straight up speed, probably Duclair. But when you have defensemen that can skate that fast, and then you have Keith Yandel, it's just you can't have that happening. And I think that's why he's not coming in the lineup tonight.
Well, guys, one thing I'll say about the speed of the Florida Panthers, which I feel like they haven't been able to get it, is because the way that the Tampa Bay Lightning play 5-on-5, it's like you're on the penalty kill, right? If you give them, if they're able to get through the neutral zone and start swinging it around, going left and right. I mean, we saw that in game 1. It's Jesus, what the heck's going on here? And then when you overcommit it, you get stuck on the power on the kill, and then you got to basically do the same thing again. But yet, once again, you're 1 man less. So it's really hard, especially when you have guys like Yandel, that their reaction is not to the par which you need to get the puck out of your zone, right? Those half a second late reactions, or those half second passes that should have happened a second ago, all of a sudden, you know, those spaces close up so quickly because of the way that Tampa does their transitioning game back and forth. You need to have guys there that are not thinking and are just seeing it, right? Like, if a player goes behind the net, their mind should already be who's coming off, who is at the blue line where I can just boom pass it in, right?
I just don't think the hockey IQ is there. Because,
but the experience, though, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
The experience of these guys is not there. And it's disappointing that a guy like Keith Yandel, who's played in so many games, God bless him, the man's is now what? I think
he's
in the league, right?
2 or number 3 all time.
Or number 3 or something.
He has over 900 straight.
Not there anymore, right? And it sucks because you want to give that to these young guys.
Same thing with Horny. It's the same thing, right?
Well, with Hornquist too, man. It's like, you know what? If Hornquist does value to me
right now.
Yeah.
The thing is, at least Hornquist makes like smart plays. It's just, you can tell the age is catching up to him a bit.
Alex, Hornquist will hit you in the mouth.
Yeah.
Keith Yandel doesn't do none of those things. Keith Yandel does a bad pass and he skates up back on the bench like, damn, I should have done better. No, man, this is the playoffs.
It's also crazy how, like, we obviously talk about the empty net goal, but every single time on the power play, the Panthers have the same exact play. Yandel swings around the net, and then he does the most obvious draw. Like, by the time he does the draw pass, it's on YouTube already. That's how early he's showing. And he did that in the slot. Tampa took it 1-on-0, and Drieger had to save them. Like, if that isn't like he doesn't have the foot speed to get into the zone. So teams just literally need to sit behind him because he's not going to dump the puck in either. And Tampa literally just sits 2 guys up there because Keith Yandel's not going to pass them. And yeah, Keith Yandel is a large liability at this point. The same thing happened with Mike Matheson last year. He played 2 absolutely terrible games in that play-in round. They scratched him. Never played another game with the Florida Panthers. They looked so much better that game 3 last year when they took out Mike Matheson. Let's hope tonight if Yandel's not in the lineup, they get something going. And let's hope the big boys start getting it going too, because last game we didn't see a lot of Barkov or Huberdeau doing that much.
Well, guys, I'm gonna be honest. We need to score first tonight. I don't see us. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm not trying to be negative, man. But it's hard for me to think that when you're on the road, going back to Tampa, you go down 1-0. I don't know, man.
And you haven't technically scored first either of the games because
You
the
have
Sam
not.
Bennett goal didn't
No.
count.
So you've had to double energy. You've had to double back on trying to tie it up, right? And then Tampa is like Shane said, in game 2, after they scored the first 2 goals, they were basically just parking the bus, flooding the neutral zone. Okay, that's fine. Well, counterattack with your stupid mistakes, which granted, thankfully, Drigo was there to make stops, right? But I think Tampa had like three automatic rushes the other way. They had an opportunity on the power play when they were on
Drieger's not that type of goalie. Drieger's not going to make the counter break. He's not like Drieger's more safe. You can't put Drieger in those spots. He's going to be a little bit better on the rebound, a little bit more in control, right? Not so much. He doesn't let the easy one in as much, but
he's the more like safe, like Shane said it best. He's the more safe goalie. When Bob played in game 1, Bob made those big breakaway saves at times, big cross-crease saves, but he's not as safe as Drieger is.
I mean, we're like a lot of people gave credit to Nolatari making that block in the net, but like, what the hell is like Bob was in row 7?
So Shane, Shane, so to refer to that play, right? So before game 2, Bill Lindsay comes in, and I'm like, Bill, can we have a talk about this play that I actually went back and watched? Sergei Bobrovsky seemed like he wanted to leave the ice. He wanted to leave the corner of the ice. I'm like, what are you doing?
Why
he had no idea what he was doing.
To the average fan, he makes
he was so slow. He was Keith Yandel in net.
I'll tell you right now. I have a couple of friends who played pretty high, like not NHL, but pretty high level junior hockey as goalies, and we've had conversations where it's like, man, Bob really, his positioning sometimes is just crazy, like how far he is out of his crease. It's almost like Jonathan Quick, when Jonathan Quick used to come like 20 feet out of the crease to make a save. But like, it's just sometimes he's getting caught out of position. And, like to both of your points, like, yeah, it's pretty obvious how far, like he was in row 7. Like,
I have kind of if you want to let me take this, and I was talking about this with a friend today, just, as we got, 28 minutes till drop the puck. And we just let's not kind of talk in this series and finish off with this, because tonight's the night, right? If they lose tonight, there's not even a discussion for the rest of the series or coming back home. Man, this town needs a series. And like, if the Panthers if they go down in 5 or if they get swept, I mean, part of me is like, this is one of those where it's like, I don't know how Florida hockey recovers from another one of these. It's,
Well, Shane, I have been a part of this for 10 years, being in the booth at the arena. It's like I told Billy, after fucking Tuesday, I'm like, the Florida
breaking news: Keith Yandel was on the ice for warmups per George Richards. So we'll have to see until puck drop what happens. But he's on the ice for warmups.
I think I might have to mute my TV.
If he makes a mistake tonight,
I am not watching this game with Keith Yandel.
If Yandel costs another goal, I'm like, it's time.
Julian said it perfectly. It's almost like Yandel's playing for the other team.
I've had tons of friends, I went to college with who are all Tampa fans, and they're all like, Yandel's our best player, and they don't watch every Panthers game, right? Like, these people live in Tampa. This is the first time they're watching. Man, it's time to question Q. And I'm sorry, I know it's championship coach. This and that, championship coach, best coach the Panthers ever had. Well, Jimmy Johnson was a championship coach with the Dolphins. Okay, Bill Parcells was a championship coach and GM with the Dolphins as well. Like, eventually, if you keep rolling Yandel out there and he keeps making the same mistakes and the coach is not doing anything, what are we doing here? I lose a lot of my. He's a great coach.
Yeah, seeing that tweet, I just kind of
that right there.
Okay, they do have 7D on the ice, so unless they go 11 forwards, which they shouldn't because Sam Bennett's back in, one of them's not going to be playing. So We're just gonna have to wait and see. We'll keep
Unless
you
they do,
updated.
like, another 5-minute thing with Yandel.
I wouldn't do that because like you need the 12 forwards. They were getting absolutely exposed. Like with the 7D didn't work. The 7Ds never worked all season because you're just playing a guy 5 minutes, and you play 11 forwards. That means one of Lomberg or Marchment's coming out, and they both had pretty good games last one out. So it's like you have to run 6D at this point, and it better not be Keith Yandel.
Who's your 6D?
I don't know who's on the ice right now, so I don't know.
You would. I'm asking who you're.
I would go Kierstead. I would go
I
Kierstead.
will go with Mr. Kierstead as well.
Kierstead, you can tell he's younger, but he's going in the corners.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going in the. What do you have to lose at this point? Yeah. Nothing's worked. He goes in the corners a lot better. The way he plays the gap fits Tampa perfectly because he's 23 years old. He has a lot of foot speed. He can make that gap disappear really quickly, which is what you need in a defenseman right now in the NHL. And he showed at the college level he can do it. I would play Matt Kierstead over Connaughton, over Strawman, and over Yandel at this point.
Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. Seeing that tweet and you reading it, Alex, it doesn't make me feel good. It's like, why in the heck is he even on the ice? Like, I don't care. Like,
unless they want him in the locker room before, but I don't know.
No, but it's not like a goaltending thing where your first two goaltenders are out and the third goaltender is sitting in the freaking stands. Like, you can't do that with everybody else. So why in the hell is he dressed? Why in the hell is he on the ice? We have to win, man.
I don't see a lineup card or anything right now, so we're just gonna have to wait.
Has anyone in the media really pushed Q on this?
No. Come on, Shane. You know nobody.
That beat is like they're a little tighter. It's a little like it's not a super tough. Like I'm not criticizing the guys. I'm not James Hall, George Richards. They do a great job, but and there really hasn't been much to criticize, right? But it's time, like Coach Q needs to be put on the hot seat a little bit.
I haven't seen anyone publicly criticize the move. I've just seen kind of like little hints from some people that cover the Panthers, like what's going on here. But yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna come out publicly and criticize it.
Yeah. But, I mean, listen, as a media member that's been with this team for 10 years. All those questions, Shane, trust me, they do happen. Along the hallways, they do happen behind the scenes, but it's just that way of, unless it gets to the point of you losing the season, if it gets to the point of off season, then those questions come. I do agree with you though.
If this was a
time where it has to be asked, this is a time.
If this was a typical hockey town, it would have been asked game 15.
Oh, if this was Toronto, if this was Boston, if this was Vancouver, if this was Chicago, oh man, these questions would have been asked.
Yeah, like I live in Toronto, and I'll tell you right now, the media, every single decision will absolutely rip you.
Hey, thanks for subbing. But just for you, sir, go Leafs, go! Thank you for tuning in.
Big game tonight between Toronto and Montreal, but obviously we're gonna focus on this Panthers and obviously that bombshell that just got dropped that Keith Yandel is in warmups.
Do we think that Tampa Bay will win? I think Tampa wins if they score first. I'm gonna just say it like that.
Yeah, I think Tampa wins.
It's close. It's 4-1 at that point. It's
there.
I think Tampa wins if Keith Yandel's a 60.
Yeah, there'll be. Yeah, that's very true. But look who they're playing: the defending Stanley Cup champions, in which they can not play hockey for 55 minutes of a game, and for 5 minutes they'll score.
I don't even think Florida being slept on.
Yeah, and I think we all know this team just still has holes. Man, I said to somebody the other night, I mean, just before this series started, win this series. If you go down to 6 to a Carolina team, I think is much deeper. Fine, like then let Zito go into another offseason and he can make a few more tweaks. But man, I mean, just how devastating it would be to go down 4.
The only thing that bugs me also, guys, is that you were probably 1 or 2 games away. If you would have gotten 1 more point than the now, they're not getting none. You probably even with losing to Carolina, right? Like I think we lost to Detroit maybe twice.
You had a bad perform. You got a couple bad
Oh,
performances against Detroit. You had the 2 games against Nashville where Barkov didn't play.
Alex, and how about the 2 back-to-back games in Chicago where you laid
Yeah.
eggs? You would have gotten at least 1 point or at least 1 win.
If Ekblad doesn't get hurt, we win the division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
wow. Okay.
I think
that's you don't think Ekblad makes up?
I think if we
it
had
makes
Ekblad,
a difference, but again, I still think you would have had to be in Carolina somehow.
I think if we have Ekblad right now, it's 1-1 series.
I think it's
no
2-0.
doubt.
I don't think
we could honestly be up.
This guy's getting blocked.
I think it's 2-0. I mean, game 1 we won. I mean, it was people keep saying we blew that game. I'm like, no. We should have been on a power play up 4-3 with Colton in the box.
The penalty kill was also a lot better with Ekblad on it. You wouldn't have given up 3 with Aaron Ekblad there. You might have given up 2, but you wouldn't have given up 3.
Yeah. Oh well. This is it, boys. You gotta win.
So we're 20 minutes and we're like 20 minutes until puck drop. We'll keep you updated on the
anybody down to do post after the game?
I should be good.
I'm game.
I should be good to do post. Yeah, so we'll have the post game show up after that. But yeah, 20 minutes until puck drop. We'll keep you updated on fifth line 5R. Who's the 6D or if they're running 7, if Yando's playing.
Let's check George Richards one more time.
Yeah, let's just
make everything first. No, nothing yet. Oh boy.
I asked to see who's the 7th defenseman. I don't know who it is yet. Obviously, our media isn't there in Tampa, most of them. So yeah, we'll keep you updated on that.
If somebody has it though, it will be Steve Goldstein because him and Randy Moeller are there.
Randy and Steve are there. Yes. So we'll try and keep you updated per what these guys
say. So Goldie just tweeted a minute ago. Warm up was for Verhaeghe, Barkov, Marchman, Huberto, Bennett, Tippett, Vetrano, Wenberg, Hornquist, Lomberg, Achari, Duclair.
So Yandel wasn't.
Yeah. So Yandel wasn't. Yeah. So the Demon is Strawman and Uyghur. Nunavut, Montour, Forsling, Gudis.
Unless Duclair is hurt.
That's why they have him on the 4th line.
Yeah, I guess that's the real explanation. But man, I just hate him. I mean, I love the Barkov with the speed, man. Like
I would put Lomberg on that.
If the speed is not there, just put him on the 4th line with Achari and Lomberg. And
I'm telling you, Lomberg could be on that first line. He has wheels.
Yeah, correct.
He also
has
Lomberg, Achari, and Lomberg, Achari, Marchment, which that's a great energy line. I
like that line a lot. Yeah. And they play a lot of minutes too. They're not playing 4 minutes a game. They're playing a good amount of minutes for a 4th line.
Yeah, you could just tell, Marchment's just a tad below the skill level of what you need next to Barkov,
I mean, when they were putting let's just wrap it up now. We'll have the post game to talk about this. So close to puck drop. Thank you so much for hopping on this 40-minute show to listen to us. Thanks to Manny and to Shane, of course, as always. Make sure you subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Turn on the post notifications. Follow us on Twitter at 5line5R for all the game updates, and make sure you check out the 5 Reasons Sports store. We got the Cardiac Cat shirt. Like I say always, we're probably going to need it tonight and for the remainder of this series. So once again, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you at the post-game show.